so funny. Everyone always thinks I'm sipping on a slush. I'm like, bruh, it's a fight slush.
Yeah.
It's fight in water with their ice. It's like, okay. But like one day I will have my little ice machine and it will make that ice for me and we can just avoid this whole situation. But then I'll probably be sponsored by them. So then it'll be
at that point.
Then we're already in it.
Gotta manifest that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, how do I say your last name?
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very German.
I've said it like, I've talked to you so many times on this podcast, by the way. So I just hope you understand that, like, yeah, and I've never said your last name because I was like, I don't even know how to say it.
It's very German. Most
Gottlieb.
people don't know how to say it. It means God's love in German. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to Love Your Body Podcast. So I love this. I have such a special guest today. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, Jenna Gottlieb. Yes, is that right?
That's right.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. And that when I've told this story a million times to everyone about my whole experience to Kenect Nashville.
Yeah.
And so before we get into that and like your perspective on it, I just want to know, where are you from? Tell everyone, kind of just like, how did you get into that role at Kenect? And
well.
Yeah, tell me all the things.
Let's get into it. So I actually started in production. So I started my career in TV and theater. So I worked on Broadway. I did live television. That was like my bread and butter for a long time.
Yeah.
I turned 30. I had a little bit of like a freak out about, I was like, who am I? What am I?
Yeah, I didn't have that when I turned 30. That didn't happen.
Not at all. And I actually was sent to Hawaii with another company I was working for doing, pop-up events and stuff and marketing events. And I fell in love with Hawaii. I moved to Hawaii for 2 years.
Okay.
When I came back from Hawaii, I just happened to like stumble into property management.
Okay.
And here I am. So I slowly I went from production to property management.
Okay.
And then I came to Kenect about 2.5 years into like property management life.
Okay.
And
but you originally were from New York.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I'm from New York.
Yeah. What part of New York?
Originally I was from New York City. So New York City and Brooklyn for, 18 years or so. And now I live in the Hudson Valley. Because I like my trees and my hiking and snowboarding.
Nature,
so I need my nature.
Okay. So in New York, oh my gosh, like just explain, because I have people listening from all over, but I just got back from there and every time I go, I just feel it's just that energy.
It's a lot of energy, yeah.
It's beautiful. And so when you were in TV and you were in stuff, were you just always running and going? Like, did you ever have a moment?
Yeah. No, you're just and that's what's so cool about New York, as I'm sure you felt too. It's like, you're just always kind of there's always something to do, somewhere to go.
The possibilities seem endless.
They are, yeah. And you just never know. You can meet someone randomly in the subway or here or there. So it's a cool place to live. Yeah.
So when you came to Nashville, because you were here, your husband, did you commute or did you live here for a bit?
No, I commuted.
Okay.
So at that time, when I first started, I was actually in Chicago.
Okay,
so I moved out for Akara Partners, which is
who
owns Kenect.
Yeah.
They moved me out to Chicago, and I started up essentially the brand division of Kenect and just all of their brands. Yeah. And then they'd send me to Nashville probably once a month at that point. Okay. Just to explore and start to make those connections and I was looking for influencers.
Yes. Okay. So tell everyone how that went about.
We needed influencers because we wanted to have people living in the building that knew and that had a hold in the community. Yeah. So I was just researching influencers. I'd come to Nashville. I'd kind of check it out. Yeah. And I really wanted to have a non-traditional fitness influencer. I didn't want some ripped, not that you aren't ripped, but I didn't want some I hate what I hate is the influencers are this big and they're all you have to do is X, Y, and Z, and it's actually
there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, there's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And when I saw your website, I was oh, this is exactly the type of fitness person I would want, is a real you're realistic about it too. Yes. You're not sitting here being you're gonna become a size 2. It's it's about being healthy. Yeah. And what I loved was it was about loving your body, which I think so many women in particular, and even men really, they have a hard time saying, I love my body.
100%.
And to your point too, it's at any stage of the game, your body changes all the time.
Yes.
So you have to love it. Like, this is the only one we got.
Right.
You know?
You got to be able to be adaptable, right?
Totally.
And no, and it's so cool because like when you say that, like when I was in Times Square, I did my Love Your Body initiative. And when I was there, I literally, so I decided to ask that second question of, besides just saying, what do you love about your body? Right. And then, or do you love anything about your body? And then people were just like, oh, like, and it takes them a minute, it takes them back. And then I was like, well, can I ask you a second question? And they're like, yeah. I said, has anyone ever asked you this question before? And literally, I kid you not, from ages 12 to 67, every single one of them said no.
Yeah. I believe that.
You know what I mean, though? Yeah. But it's like a taboo topic. Like, no one wants to talk about it. Like, or they assume because you look a certain way, well, you must love your body, or you could never love your body. And that's where I was just like, you know what I'm saying? So in that moment in Times Square, and like ask this over and over and over and over again of all the people that I asked, I'm just like, and I went even from like fitness professionals to, a news anchor guy to a girl that danced to a model. I mean, all these different people from walks of life, and no one ever had taken the time to ask them.
Yeah.
What they love about themselves, like what do they love about their body, and so I thought that was so just like right there in that moment of like feeling like the possibilities are endless. I was like, that was super impactful and made like so much validity to like this mission, and just even more so. So and it brings me back to even thinking about you, and like I tell people this all the time that like I almost deleted your email because you emailed me, right? Like
I did. I just straight up emailed you,
straight up, And but again, this is before like video went viral and all of that too. So it wasn't like I was getting a bunch of like, spam, but I was kind of getting a lot of spam emails, I guess, but they were just like, whatever. And I thought this was just like a fake email. And I mean, seriously, and I almost deleted it. And I'm so glad that I took a moment, because when you're so busy all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then I took a moment, something told me, and I feel like that was God telling me like, hey, no, like read this. Like, don't just like, whatever. Take a second. And then I read it. And I'm not even gonna lie, like I thought it was fake. Like when you showed up, I was like, what's good? Like, what's up, girl? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because there was such a stigma before that of like a lot of fitness instructors, they would do this whole like trade thing where they would do like the classes and they'd get like half off rent and whatever. And that's still great too.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it was not like this opportunity that you had allotted for me. And so I was just kind of like, one, how do I believe this is real? And then two, I'm like, oh, I get to get out of my parents' house. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you don't even know. And so I think that was so odd. And it also goes back to saying like the whole having a website thing.
Yeah.
You don't understand that website. So many struggles, so many issues, so many things, and spent a lot of money on it, right? Because like I'm not tech savvy, can't figure it out or whatever. But like if I wouldn't have had that, I'm like, oh, someone will just find me on Instagram or like whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, no, as a business, like you have to have certain things, even though it can seem annoying or seem frustrating. So for any entrepreneurs listening, like it was well worth it because you were able to find it. And I love that so much. And so it was just an incredible experience for you to like, when you came up and you were just so authentic, you were so real. And I was just like, oh, like, I mean,
yeah, we clicked right away.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you literally are sitting there. It's kind of like how we are right now. But you were sitting there and you're like, yeah, the building's going to be like right there. And I was like, what? I was like, how is this? I literally couldn't have made it up myself.
Yeah.
But what was so funny is, I don't know, do you believe in like, I mean, are you big on like manifestation and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm a master manifestor.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. So a lot of people just think it's a joke,
Oh no.
And I remember, I mean, I was training in Franklin before I was in Nashville, and then I was in both. So I'm driving from the borough to Nashville to Franklin every day, right? All this commuting hours. I mean, I would eat, everyone knew I would be on my phone, be eating in the car, be taking meetings. I mean, crazy life, right? Yeah. And then, and that was another reason why I could never really excel in my fitness journey, right? Because I was just kind of, just making it work, but, and putting everybody else above me. But yeah, so when I was literally in that spectrum of time or whatever, I don't know. I just, it was just, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but it was just so cool.
It was meant to be.
And it was meant to be. But because it was like, everyone was telling me, you need to live, like you need to get out of your parents' house. You need, like buy a house. I was like, guys, no. Like I said, I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I kept saying that. I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but I was like, I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville. Like it's absurd. Like it's absurd for everyone listening. They're like, yeah, we know. Like we know. And so when you came at me like that, I'm like, okay, what's the catch? What's going on? What idea? And I remember you were like, yeah, we just would love for you to like post, I think you said like post like once a month. Yeah. And I was like, chick, I'm gonna post like 50,000 times a day. Like I was blowing up that account. But it's because I do that and brands know when they work with me that like, if I love them, I will You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
you're
will
gonna shout
support
them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not in a weird, like I have to way
Yeah.
and feel gross about it. And none of that felt gross. Like it was always exciting. And being there, you guys helped me through a very traumatic time. And it was just like, it was so meant to be.
Yeah, it was.
You know
it
what I
was,
mean?
and it was crazy because it was a pandemic too.
Yes.
So
And,
it was
like, how
like
did y'all navigate that?
we were gonna do that big Move Fit class, and then it was like we couldn't do anything because of pandemic stuff. It was wild.
Yeah.
It was the best way I can put it. It was like crazy. And actually funny, I was gonna go and do a big yoga retreat or yoga training, and then the pandemic hit and all that got canceled. I was like, why?
Oh my gosh.
But haven't gotten to it, but I will get to it eventually.
Yes,
But it was, the pandemic was just crazy in general,
Right.
which is why it was so great to have you and the other influencers in there too. And I know like you and Zach were like so great
Yes,
together and
yeah.
stuff. And it was like, we needed to also create a community, and we needed people who were outgoing and believed in themselves and had positivity like around them to come into the community during a very difficult time for like the world.
Yes.
And be like, nope, we're a community. We're going to make it happen.
Right.
We're going to have fun. We're going to, figure out a way to do an unboxing and put it on YouTube or whatever.
Yes.
So,
and we did. And we did do a lot of creative things. And even with the virtuals that I did and like all that stuff, like I still think that they were impactful. And, we rolled with it.
Yeah.
And we were adaptable, as much as we could be. And I thought that was so cool. And that was even like into 2021, doing the virtuals for Shape. Like, so everything that I did with Erica, I believe was her name, like everything that I did to even like, because that was the first experience I had talking to the computer. You know what I mean? Like talking to I know it sounds silly, but like
a lot of us,
right in that way, and for people to see it and having that interactions and everything like that, and then to then be like, that was all preparing me to be in front of all those hundreds of thousands of people on their Instagram, and then be able to teach it, like, you know what I mean, on the rooftop, and that was so cool. And I will always remember that. So it's a beautiful space, and I love it. And I'm actually doing an event. This will come out after the event, but it comes out. But I'm gonna do a Love Your Body talk. And
I love it.
Yeah, and I think it'll be so cool.
It will be.
And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a perfect location. It's always been just a vibe. You know what I mean? And y'all offer so much to the people. Like
everything.
Those like the kids, I'm sorry, that live there, that like the Vanderbilt is, or whoever had moved in or whatever, they do not understand that is not how it is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're a very amenitized building.
Yes.
We have a woman named Kate who's our membership manager. She's amazing.
Yeah,
you've been
her.
working with her. And there's been some months where we have over 30 events in a month. So we're
She's
rocking
just,
and
like,
rolling.
working. I love it.
She's amazing.
Okay. I love
Shout
that.
out to Kate.
Yes. Yeah. She's been doing a great job. So tell me then so how did you get back in? Because like, I thought that you had.
Yes. So after the pandemic, I was like, mental break.
Yes.
I needed to take a break.
Okay.
So I went back to kind of freelancing and doing my own thing. And over not this past winter, but the winter before, Carol, who's our leasing director, reached, we always keep in touch. And
Right.
I have an
Super sweet.
affinity towards Kenect because we opened it together
Of
and
course.
just in general, like went through the pandemic through it. And, I forget exactly what it was. I think they like launched their website or something was going on. And I was like, oh man, I should have just stuck it out.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, do you want me to talk to them? And I was like, okay. Not thinking anything would come from it. And then within 2 weeks I had an interview set up and
I love that.
And I was working there again. So
Okay. So what is your title now?
I'm still the same title. So Director of Brand Experience or National Director of Brand Experience. So I do but it's like more than that. I do like all the events and operations for co-working and a little bit of everything, marketing stuff. Like I work closely with Carol on that. So it's really fun. I mean, it's good because I feel like I'm very ADHD. So
you're like, you have
I'm
so
like,
many projects.
I'm here, I'm there, I'm going, it's great. Yeah.
Welcome to my world every day. Like, oh my gosh. Like I feel like that all the time. Even today, there was like 30 different meetings for all different things.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking on one talk with a pageant system that I'm sponsoring, and then I was talking to for ALS sponsorship, and then I was talking to this other. I mean, like I was talking to Mr. Olympia people. Like I'm just like, There were
so many. I know.
So many facets.
But
you know
it's
what I mean?
good. Like,
so
it's good to keep your brain like moving and shaking. Yeah.
And that's why it was so hard coming back from New York, because I was like, bruh, like, it's just the energy is so different. And that's why I wanted to ask you about your experience here.
Yeah.
You know, how did you, I mean, did it feel like because you were kind of in that Kenect bubble that you were still kind of like in that high drive because you had so much like for you to do? But like outside of that, do you feel like it's just super slow? Like how is that for you?
No, I mean, definitely always an adjustment when you move from New York, like even moving from New York to Chicago. But I also had like those 2 years in Maui where I was like, oh, like a slower pace is not so bad.
It's nice.
But you do get into like, if you're in the city for long enough where you're just like, now I got to go here. Now I got to go there. Now I'm meeting this person. Now I'm meeting that. Like I just went in a few weeks ago and it was like, I'm going to the doctor. I'm getting my hair cut. I'm going to go see my bestie. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go shopping.
Right back in
and then all of a sudden you're like, I have to get the train back upstate. Like, you know.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
But it's kind of like intoxicating, that energy. It's really fun, especially like when you're like really young and like ready to rock and roll. Like it can just like sweep you up and you're just like, the world. It's amazing because literally everything is in New York. Like everything you could ever dream of is there.
Did you go to college there too?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I went to Marymount, Manhattan, which is on the Upper East Side. Okay. So like, you know, maybe like 30 minutes from Times Square where you were at. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is your family still there?
Yeah, my whole family. Okay. I always say like my family got off the boat and they never left. They're
really?
like, New York is where we're at.
Yes.
So my whole family, like all my siblings are in the city. Okay. So they're either in Manhattan or one of the boroughs.
How many siblings do you
have? I have 3. So I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay. And
I'm number 2, of course. I'm the middle child and very much a middle child.
Okay.
And my parents are still just outside of the city. And then my whole family is like, everybody's within, you know, I'd say an hour or 2 of each other.
So how do they deal with you, like with all of your moving and stuff? Like,
I feel like they're my aunt is kind of like my inspiration in life, my Aunt Penny. And she's always just like taken wherever the wind blows her. Like, and she like is just like, takes life and she's like, this is life and it's amazing and I'm going to take advantage of every moment. So I think I've just always kind of like wanted to follow in her footsteps anyway. And so she kind of paved the way for me where everyone's like, oh, well, she's just going to follow Penny's path, I guess, where she's going to be here and there.
Yeah. And you had that in like a strong woman to look up to.
Oh, I mean, my whole family is like my whole family is just all about strong women. Yes. We have a lot of single women in my family. Yeah. So like I've never had any pressure to like get married or have children. Like I will say like I'm very lucky that way because I know a lot of people do have that pressure. And even my dad, like even he's just like, whenever, like it has to be right. Like there's no rush into it. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah. When did you get married?
Like we actually still aren't married.
Oh, so y'all, okay, so
we got engaged.
Okay.
And I think like we always say we're like spiritually married because we've been through a lot together. Okay. We'll get there. I think again, there's like no pressure for us to do it. Okay, so it's like we were planning on it and then whenever I'm sure anyone who's planning a wedding will either have gone through it or will go through it, which is like everybody's got an opinion.
Yes.
Everybody thinks it should be this or that, or what about this or what about that? And I got to the point where I was like, I plan events every day of my life.
100%.
I'm like, I don't need to plan a big event that I have to spend this money on.
Yes.
And then I was actually working for a company and I was selling weddings.
Okay.
While we were engaged, and I was like, we're not getting married right now.
Yeah, you're like, I got to be removed from this.
I'm weddinged out. Yeah.
So, no, I can imagine that because I know for me it's like I always been the planner, always whatever. And with that, it's like, no, I want to hire somebody and get them in there. Like, I can't.
I recommend it.
Yeah, because I have a couple clients right now that are getting married soon and they are just swamped. They just feel so overwhelmed.
Stress,
yeah. And it's just like, man, it's supposed to be like this happy time, you know, as happy as it can be. But really, it just has to be for you guys.
Yes.
So it's like, everything else doesn't matter. Like, you know, and I feel like it becomes so much about everyone else.
Yeah. And I also think it's like people get caught up in the party and the actual wedding. And it's like, there's actually a lot of work that goes into relationships.
Yes,
like,
100%.
You have to get through a lot. Like, we were even talking about the other day where, you know, with everything I've been going through with endometriosis, it's like, I said to him, I was like, thank you. Like, I can't believe you stood by me for this. It was difficult. Like, it was difficult for me. It was difficult for him. Yeah. So it was like you get over these hurdles together. So like spiritually, we're so connected that it's like, you know, it almost like doesn't matter that we didn't get married because like in our hearts we are, we're there for each other.
And I love that. So how did y'all meet? Like, well,
we met on Tinder.
Oh my gosh. Did you really?
Yeah.
When was this? Like,
we met on Tinder in January of 2019.
Oh, okay. So this was a big year for you. Like that was
2019 was a big year.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, we met and it's actually very like serendipitous where he was in New York just for 6 weeks. He was living in Chicago, and I was interviewing for the job in Chicago.
Okay.
So when we matched on Tinder, he's like, oh, I live in Chicago, but I'm just here for 6 weeks. And I was like, oh, I might be moving to Chicago. That'd be, and I was like, oh, it'll just be cool to like know somebody. Because in the past, like I've traveled across country, I've like moved different places, and I've used dating sites, and I've just been like, not looking to hook up. I'm literally looking to like make friends, and I've made great friends through Tinder too.
That's good.
So I was like, oh, it'll just be another friend. Yeah. But when we finally met up, it took like 2 weeks for us to even meet up.
Yeah.
I remember I walked into the bar, and I was just like, oh, all right. And he came up to me. He's like, hey, you must be Jenna. I was like, I am. He's like, I'm Mike. He's like, just as a heads up, I don't want to argue about it later. So this is on me tonight. Get whatever you want. Yeah. He's like, but just know, I already ordered French fries. I'm like, my man.
Oh my gosh.
That's my man.
You just knew.
I knew right there. I was like, he ordered French fries. That's it.
That's it. Were they waffle? Were they curly? Were they straight fries?
They were curly fries.
Okay.
They were curly fries. Okay. I'm usually a plain fry kind of gal, but I'll accept any fries. I love French fries.
Right. Same.
They are my weakness in life.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. That is so cool. And isn't that wild how
yeah, we just clicked. Yeah, it was cool.
And they say, the best love stories, I hear, because I, am watching nonsense on TV about it, whatever. But really though, in the rom-coms and stuff like that, it is those beautiful moments where people are like, oh, it only happens in the movies. And I'm like, no, I really believe like when you have that discernment, Yeah. Like, cause I've met people before that I'm like, but I knew it just didn't, like there's something, but I still went for it anyway. Or like whatever. And it was just like, I tell people all the time, they'll always be like, oh, like what's your type, what's your whatever. I'm like, when I see it, like I will tell you.
Yeah.
But it's just until then, like, it's just not that. So I love that you had that experience.
Yeah. And I really didn't have a type either. I was like, honestly, if they have a beard, I'm into it.
Right.
But like other than that, I kept saying because I was at the point where I was like, not really dating anyway. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to meet someone nice. Yes. Like, I just want to meet like a good person. Yeah. Like, that's all I want.
Right. Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that is exactly, like, I feel like so many people put this whole list of things and it's just ridiculous. And you're like me in the sense of like, you're always doing something. You're so like planning, right? Like, so event. Then when it comes to relationships, it really is not like that at all. And I think, did you ever get like mischaracterized in that where people thought that like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I always kind of took, because again, I come from a family of very strong, independent, a lot of single women. So for me, my whole kind of catchphrase, all of my dating life was always accessory, not necessity.
Oh,
so I still,
that.
Yeah, because I still feel that way. Because at the end of the day, you have to be there for yourself, and we're all on our own journey. And whoever your partner is going to be on that journey with you, supporting you on that journey. So I do feel that way, and obviously, because obviously it's like, you want to be with if you want to be with someone, that's great. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet with or without that person, whether you break up or something tragic happens, like, you have to have that strength in yourself to even be in a really positive, healthy relationship. So that was how I kind of looked at relationships.
Do you see why I love her so much? Why I've literally talked about you every episode. I'm like, if y'all only knew Jenna, oh my gosh, like, but seriously, like, that is so cool. I love that so much because the whole time that I was there, it was really like business. Like, we didn't have time to like connect like this and like everything, but you followed, on Instagram, even after you left, like you've watched the mission and like, I think that your partner, I'll call him partner, but fiance, whatever. But like Mike, he had even said stuff about.
He loves you.
Yeah.
He loves you.
I gotta like meet him at some point.
You guys do, because even when we were just doing like the virtual stuff, he was like, I I love her. She's great. Like all the time, he's like, "Is Dani doing an event?" I love her. I was like, "I know."
I love it. You're like, I know. I picked her.
Yeah,
like,
I did. I was like, I handpicked her.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that makes me so happy because like I genuinely don't think people understand like how like cosmic that whole situation was and how much of a godsend it was because like I said, it was it was a beautiful moment because it gave me and my family a time that we knew that like, you know, it got extended out, you know, which was cool because you had met with me in July 2019 and I didn't end up moving in until July 2020 and I was supposed to move in March or April.
Yes. And the pandemic put a little bit of damper on that move-in date.
But then it was one of those things though that I was actually couldn't go to my gym and do my training. So I had to do virtual.
Right. Yes.
So I was doing that, but that like helped me be creative. But I also was injured. So, you know, so I'm going through like, you know, the injury, then trying to adapt all of that. And then I was like, I got on the news and all these things were happening. And it was one of those things where, you know, I actually got to celebrate with my parents and be with them and be like, okay, it's gonna be July. So that time that I actually would have moved out in April, I wouldn't have been like, so, I don't know, I wouldn't have had the time with them because I was driving all the time, right? So I got to spend April, May, and June just with my parents. I mean, you know what I mean? Which I know sounds like, whatever. But growing up, they were always working. They were always gone. So then when everything got on a halt, we got to just like sit and have dinners together. We got to talk. We got to watch movies. Like it was so cool because we all like kind of stopped all of our franticness for a moment. Yeah. You know, and I know everybody's like, whoa, like on the most, you know, intense time of the world. But for us, it was just, and we would go for walks in the neighborhood because of my PT. I couldn't get in to see anybody. Right. And my leg was just like awful. So I literally would just walk with my mom. And we never did that.
That's so nice. Yeah, it's funny during the pandemic. So we were in Chicago for the beginning of it, but my whole family moved back in together. So it was like my parents, my siblings, my sister's husband, and her daughter, who was like a year or so at the time. So I was like, I had like some FOMO where I was like, I want some of this family time.
I see.
Because I agree. Like to me, I was like, I knew it was a terrible time for the world, obviously, but personally, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, no,
like,
yes.
I needed the world to slow down a little bit.
Right.
Because I did feel like we were on this like train of just go, 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 go.
Yep.
And again, obviously I wish pandemic never happened, of course, but like I do think it gave everybody a moment to stop and reevaluate like what's important to them and who's important to them.
Yeah. And that's exactly, I mean, it's beautifully said. And that's how I felt. And it was such a cool, like I said, a cool time for us and like, and to see people genuinely want to move more. And I think they really evaluated that. And that kind of, you know, was a driving factor for a lot of people to start moving more, start understanding and seeing that message and of loving yourself throughout. And so that was a cool time, you know, in terms of that. But then when I finally got to move in, you know, and everything, I remember just like walking in and I'm just like, this is everything. Like it was, guys, seriously, 365 square feet of just pure bliss. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and people are like, oh, I like that's whatever, so small. But that was exactly what I had imagined. Yeah. Literally, because when I was growing up, my dance room was about that size, but without a bathroom. Like the bathroom was right there. So like put it together. And that was my vibe. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that was what it was, but with a great view.
Yeah. And when I come from New York City, so like I walked into the studio the first time, I was like, this place is huge.
Are you serious?
And everyone's like, this is a tiny little apartment. My first apartment in New York was 9.5 by 9 feet. Oh. I had like a tiny little like twin bed, and my dad made me like these little tables because nothing would fit in there.
Oh my God.
And I'll never forget, my grandparents came over and they were like, you know, in their late 80s. And just the two of them, like all like old and frail. And they're like sitting in this tiny apartment on my bed because there's nowhere else to sit. And my grandmother was like, she's like, this is just where you need to be. This is a beautiful apartment. I was like, isn't it great?
Right, exactly.
It's huge.
No, and it's perspective. I was like, this got everything I need, and it's got nice appliances. And also being the first to live there. Yeah. That was so cool.
So
and like,
nice,
I've had a couple moments like that in my journey with like even in college, the sorority house wasn't a thing until my sophomore year. It was built and like we moved in. So I was the first to ever live in the Delta Zeta sorority house.
Development vibes.
Right? But hey, I'm here for it. You got another one for me? Like I'll go. Like, thank you for subscribing, following along with my journey and all of our guest journey as well. If you ever want to come be a guest on the podcast, please, or sponsor, please DM me or just email me at Dani@DaniFitness.com, as well as stay tuned for upcoming challenges that I'm having, one-on-one personal training, online coaching. We have so many things. And if you haven't yet, to hear all the tea, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, Dani After Dark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna from Kenect. Nashville and Kenect Phoenix here on the Dani D podcast. I'm so excited to be with Dani talking about loving your body, all things Nashville, and all things Kenect. If you ever need a place to live here in Nashville or in Phoenix, check out Kenect Nashville or KenectPhoenix.com. And you can always email us at info@KenectNashville or info@KenectPhoenix.com. And of course, you can always check out our socials at KenectPhoenix.com, KenectNashville.com, and don't forget KenectMembership.com, where you can check out all the cool events and specials we have for co-working and brand experience.
I still want to go to Kenect Phoenix. Like I got to see it, and I like
it's beautiful.
It would be a vibe for sure. And I've been to Arizona like forever ago, but never for like fitness stuff. So you already know.
Yeah,
if you need somebody,
we'll have to get you out there after the summer because it's too hot in the summer. But yeah, Phoenix is beautiful. We have a beautiful. Basically, like the gym is similar to Nashville, where it's like gym and then the amenity deck.
Okay.
But we have like a nice little space for outdoor fitness too, but it just gets so dang hot there that after like April, you can't go outside.
Yeah, I can imagine. I have a friend that lives there, and I have clients who've moved from there.
Yeah,
and they're just like, it's not no joke. Like I'm like, okay, like, but
luckily we have a beautiful rooftop pool, so that always helps too.
I love that so much. But no, I just like we were talking just a second ago about like New York and stuff, and like. I don't know. It just felt like after I took that fitness class. So listen to this. So I took a class at Stronger New York, and it's just like this guy on Instagram, and like he's kind of like an influencer dude, whatever. So I was like, okay. And I had been connected through another person. Anyway, so I go there, do the class, and all of a sudden, like I'm just sweaty, gross, whatever. I just was lifting with the dudes, and it was like fun, whatever. And then this guy all of a sudden he was like, "Hey, are you some like fitness girl from Nashville?" No joke. In the middle of the thing. And then like, of course the influencer dude was like, wait, what? Like, cause he wasn't really like paying that much attention to me before. Like, cause I was like trying to network with him. Anyway, so the guy, I was like, yeah, Dani. And he was like, he said his name, and I was like, cool, I don't know how I know you. He was like, I don't know how I know you either. But like, but yeah, it was like, and we still don't know what, but I'm like, maybe it was the tire flip. Maybe you saw, like, I don't know, but it was such a cool feeling because I was just like, again, anything is possible. You don't never know who you're going to meet.
Totally.
And so I was just like, oh my gosh. And then that gave me inspiration to like go for, I went for a walk, went to Times Square, and I was like, I don't need any help. I don't need to wait on my mom to come video or like whatever. I set up my tripod, did my live video, all the things, but it just, you feel capable, you feel strong. And the thing with Nashville, and I don't know if it's just because I'm from here, but it always feels like I have to create the opportunities, if that makes sense, or I have to like be not only like the talent, but like the creator, the person that puts it on, like so many facets versus just like people that are like, yeah, I'm down for a photo shoot in Times Square at midnight on Saturday. Like, does that make sense?
Yes,
like,
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And I'll say too, like, especially coming from the entertainment industry, like you also have to make, a lot of actors in particular, like they have to make it for themselves. Like they have to write for themselves, produce for themselves. And I think that there's just more people in production in New York.
Yeah.
But it's moving to Nashville. Like a lot of it's coming this way.
For sure.
But you do have, that's why I think I was always drawn to you too, is that you have that hustle in you. And I like people who can hustle. You know what I mean?
Exactly
like,
right. Yes.
And I like women who are like strong and making it happen for themselves, because that's the only way it happens is if you make it happen.
Well, no, 100%. I think that a lot of times, especially around that time, everyone was waiting for stuff to happen, right?
Correct.
But like waiting, but not working.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so again, it's a whole manifestation, but also putting in the work for that manifestation, right? Yeah. And so so I never knew what it was gonna look like, but when that happened and came through, like I swear I was probably the most annoying person in the world, and like because I probably emailed you 1,000 times, like, is this still happening? Is this still happening? Is this still happening? Because I was like, how did I get so lucky? You know what I'm saying? I was like, they're gonna change their mind. They're gonna be like, all the only boys allowed. You know
my
what I mean?
gosh!
Like,
I was like, you are locked in. I was like, we just gotta get through. We need these supplies to come over.
It was so cool, but then I was like, now there's a world pandemic. I'm definitely not getting it. Like I was just like, well. All right, I'm gonna go tug her down.
Like, we needed you more than ever during the pandemic.
And that was and that's how you guys made me feel. And that's why I was just like, man, like this, it really was cool because it was like this light that like I feel like I was born with, was able to like shine through and be able to do that. And so there's so many things that I learned and so many cool opportunities, and like I don't know, it just was awesome. And then I ended up staying there while I bought this house,
That's right.
So it was like so I literally you know, because my influencership had ended. It was like in the summer of 2021, and you know, so video went viral, all that stuff had happened, craziness, and then I bought the house in April, and so I was like, I need to stay a little bit longer. Extended my lease and everything like that.
Well,
and,
luckily we have flexible lease terms.
Exactly. Yes, you did. And so we did that, and that was great. And even taught some classes. I think I did another move fit. Like there was just so much opportunity.
Yes.
And that's what I love about the space. And so that's super cool. And everyone's probably like being like, where is this at? It's like, yeah, y'all, Midtown. Y'all been at the bars.
Right at
You
Midtown.
see it. Like it's right there. You know,
for the orange building.
Yes, literally. And don't you? Yeah, exactly. And
Can't
you have
miss it.
at the bottom now, what is in the, because we have the co-working.
Yeah. So second floor and fourth floors, all co-working.
Yes.
So, but it still gives you access to the gym and the pool and the amenity deck and all of our events.
Love
so
it.
it's very different than like any other co-working space because it's not just like going there to work. You're going there to work. You're going there to play. You're going to work
all
out.
things.
It's amazing.
Okay.
We have two big things happening right now in the lobby. So the big one is Nacho Daddy is coming in. So they're doing a build out right now.
Okay.
And then we're also opening another brand that we've started in partnership with Infuse Hospitality called Market.
Okay, what is that?
And Market is going to be a little grab and go coffee spot.
Nice. Okay.
So you'll be able to get your coffee in the morning, and then there'll be like, you know, like little things to grab for snacks. Some Kenect swag will be there. We'll have some tote bags. You gotta have a good tote bag.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be really cool. So I'm really excited for it because there's like not a lot of places to grab a good cup of coffee
Especially
in Midtown.
around there.
Yeah, like I mean, you can grab a great taco around there, but there's not like a good morning spot.
Yes.
So Market's going to really fill that gap in
That's
Midtown,
awesome.
and it's going to be awesome. And we're already starting to like fill it up. It's in progress. It's going to look so good. I'm so excited.
Because I remember when the building was first being built, there was that area and it was like steps. Like, okay, what is that where the market will go?
Yes, that's right where it's going to be.
Okay, got it.
So it's like you'll be able to get to it like right from the lobby or right from outside. So it's going to be a perfect little space. We'll have some places to sit. And again, if you're a member, you know, you'll probably have some additional perks there, especially when we first open.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I love that. And when is that projected to open?
I think we're aiming for, I don't like doing dates with that stuff, but I'm going to say like late. I'm going to say May or June.
Okay, so summertime.
Yeah,
So summertime. And it'll be perfect. Okay, cool.
It's going to be great. Great for your iced coffees.
Yeah, I love that so much. Okay, cool. So then, and with the nacho, like when is that? Is that
Nacho Daddy? I'm not sure when they're opening, but they're also doing construction. It's a bigger build,
and this
obviously.
has to be, like huge for Kenect because they needed those spaces filled that whole time, right?
That's been the whole thought process the whole time. Is like, obviously we want people to leave the building, but it's like. The idea is that you don't have to leave the building if you don't want to. That like you can go downstairs.
Everybody can come to you.
Exactly. And for our co-working members, like you have a place to take people to lunch or meet them for a cup of coffee or take them to the roof or the amenity deck and be able to show them the views.
We were doing podcasts in my room. Yeah. We did podcasts in the I think it was the which floor is that? In one of the studios. Like we did that. I mean, I had meetings there. I've done, like virtual sessions. I mean, there's so much that I did. Like I really feel like I capitalized the space while I was there. You know what I mean? Even from the outside the rooftop, I mean, just chilling. I mean, there were so many nights where I would just overlook and like, because I wasn't doing any of the, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing all this stuff, whatever, especially as I was getting into, with bodybuilding stuff. But I genuinely was just like, man, the energy and feeling that. Yeah. And then like going to sleep, I was just like, all right, this is cool.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we want. I want people to like feel at home there. Yeah. Like, you don't have a huge space. Well, by anything but New York City standards, you don't have a huge space. But that's why there are other spaces that exist is so that you can go and enjoy the pool or hang out with your friends on the amenity deck. For sure. There's lots of different places in the building that you can engage in whatever way you need to.
I love that. I'm very excited about, upcoming stuff and everything. So it's been really cool to.
Yeah, it's a cool product. And that's what drew me to it too. I was like, oh, you know what? This again, having lived in New York and spent my grandpa used to call it rent poor. And being like rent poor all of my 20s, I was like, it probably would have been nice if I had a gym included or a washer dryer in my apartment.
Yes. That was huge. Yeah.
Like
huge.
Just when I moved to Chicago 4 years ago, I don't live there anymore, of course, but like I had a first time ever, I had a washer dryer in my unit, and I was like, this is a game changer.
Oh, when people,
like,
when my friends were like, oh, you have it in unit, I was like, yeah. And they were like, that's not like a normal like thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't know.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the people were like out here walking in the streets and like getting their stuff done, which whatever. But like,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, so it really did. I mean, it was awesome.
And the views are, I mean, especially in Nashville, like our views in Nashville, it's like east and west views. So it doesn't matter where you live in the building. It's going to be beautiful.
And mine was just, like I said, it was so great. I loved just looking out. Like it was just to see a city, and it just gives you that energy. And so that was so cool. So talk about, because you are very health and fitness mindset. Is your practice usually like a lot of yoga? Has that been your intention?
So yes, mainly yoga for the majority of my fitness journey. I'm really big into, it's called Jivamukti yoga.
Okay.
So it was started by Shannon Gannon and David Love, and they're based in New York area now. Like obviously everyone's all over the place, but I actually discovered it on Maui. Okay. Because I was into yoga, but I didn't have like a type of yoga that I did. I was just like, yoga class, yay.
Yeah.
And I took, her name's Jessica Fertig. She has, it's called Practice Telluride in Telluride, Colorado now, but she was teaching just a random class on a Wednesday afternoon, and it just clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels correct in my body. And as I continued to practice with her and get deeper into the Jivamukti practice and what it all meant, I was like, oh, this is not just about working out. Like this is the intention of this is not to like be, slimming down or, how my mindset was always like, listen, I was a girl of the 80s and 90s where it was heroin chic. So eating disorders like through high school and college and most of my 20s. So like when I discovered this, I was like, oh, like this is for me. This is for my well-being, my body, my spiritual well-being. Yeah. And it changed my life. And I remember when she left Maui, I like was sobbing. I was like, you changed my life. But she did. She really changed my life because she taught me to honor myself and to honor my body in a way that I wasn't really doing before. I was always like trying to get my body to a place where, to be honest, it will never be. Like my hips are not rotating in. Like they're where they're at. Like this is it. So it really why you resonated with me too, because it taught me to love myself and my body in a way that I didn't before.
Well, and I got that energy from you from the get-go, because even when you come into Next Level, it wasn't like, obviously, when you first get someone's impression, like a lot of times people just stereotype and, whatever. But like, it was just an energy with you that it was just like very calm, very like nice. And I was just like, okay, like this, like it didn't, a lot of times I've had experiences where it is a judgment thing, where it is where I've literally gone to places and it's been like oh, you're the instructor, or like, oh, you're the girl, or like, oh, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what to do with that, guys. Like, what do you want? What, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, it's just like, this is me, this is my body. Like, it doesn't depict how well I teach my class. It doesn't, none of that.
Yeah.
And then people are always surprised. And it was like with you, I didn't have to sit here and I don't even know, like wear something or try to fit into anything. It was just like, what's up? Like, this is me, let's talk about it. And that was super special. So I definitely got that from you. So I love that. And I appreciate that. And that doesn't happen with a lot of women.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
And
we're all brainwashed.
Yeah. But, and again, too, it's like that whole cattiness of like, and that kind of up and down or whatever. It's like, and all I saw was just a beautiful soul. And I see that today, and
and same in you.
Well, thank you. And for those listening, like, you got to go follow Jenna, because she's just awesome. And you just really do have such a kind heart. And it's just like the little things that really like, make a big difference. And I know that I had dealt with like some grief stuff. And I think there was like an event that happened, and you were like in town, and I wasn't going to go down there, but like, I think Eric or somebody had like messaged me like, oh, Jenna's here. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get myself together and like go down. And like, you just gave me the warmest hug. And, I don't think you knew, obviously, I don't think I had gone through and be like, oh yeah, I'm like really depressed at this moment, but it was just like, cause I had never dealt with depression really to that level. And I was having one of those waves, but like to go down there and I got that hug from you, it really set me Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. And again, it was so like true. And it just, again, cause like it was a weird thing of like, I felt, it was hard for me to go out in social settings for a minute.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like that. It was like a social setting. I was like, I don't want to go. And then she said, Jenna's gonna be there. I'm like, all right, well, she's going to be there. I got to go down there. And and then you just gave us a big hug. And that was all that it was. And I think you had said something nice that Mike had said. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And then then I was like, wow, this was just great. Like, thank you for that.
Yeah, depression's crazy that way too, isn't it? It's like, you don't even realize what it is. And I had that too for a long time where I was like, I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to do anything. And I thought I was just being like, money conscious or blaming it on that.
Right.
And then a friend of mine, like, he's also a yoga teacher.
Yes.
But he kind of felt that from me and slowly like got me back out into like socializing. But he did it nicely where it was like, come over to my house and we're just gonna have a few people over. And then and then we started going out for dinner, and it takes a long time to like, one, acknowledge that you're going through it, and then to be like, you know what, I need to find it within myself to get over this. Like, what do I need to do to do right for me?
And what are these things that are going to help me like grow too, right? Versus the thinking of, okay, I have to go back and do what I used to do. That looks totally different now. Yeah. So that's where then that was like the giving up, like not drinking, right? And like that helps me to propel forward.
Yes.
And then to get into grief group and like, that helped me. And like, so there was like, it was just chipping away.
Yeah.
And, genuinely, I don't think I would have been able to get through it if I would have been, if I would have still been at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that like just being around the energy of Kenect and seeing the things happen, even if I couldn't go down there, even if I couldn't get myself, it still was, I was very aware.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I know at some point I will be back. Like to be able to like go do these things or step out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And so I try to make that a active thing now, even after living here and stuff, of being like, okay, I'm in a good, healthy spot. Like, hormones are balanced or starting to get back balanced and everything. So feeling better about all that.
Yeah.
And because, with the endometriosis. So like, tell me, like, how did you find out about that? And like, how did that all happen?
Oh, well, this is, I think, one of the most important discussions that like women do not have. Right. Which is the pain that we feel and how it can be dismissed. So I went for years, I was not feeling it too much. The pain started in my 30s. Okay. And really during the pandemic. So a lot of me, I was like, well, this is stress. This might be this or that. And I went to a few doctors because I was having a lot of pain that I was like, this does not feel normal. Right. And I had one doctor who told me that I need to go see a psychologist. I'll never forget. She went, there's something wrong up here.
Oh, and I was like, gosh.
I literally called my therapist and I was like, I've been seeing you for many years. Do you think I need to see a psychologist? She's like, no, I think you need another doctor. She's like, this is like not incorrect.
Oh my gosh.
And then I went to another woman who told me I was going through menopause.
And how old were you?
I was 38 at the time.
Okay.
But the pain was just, it's really hard to like describe because you don't realize how bad it is until it's out of your body. And you're like, oh, that was really messed up.
Well, my clients have it, like several of them. And so several have had the surgery. So have you had the surgery?
Yes, I had surgery in December. Okay. I went to a specialist in New York. Okay. And I was very advanced, so I was not quite stage 4, but just right around there. Okay. And it was very widespread. Okay. So it was on ligaments, it was on my bladder, it was everywhere, and it explained a lot of my pain.
And can you explain to people listening that are kind of like, even our male listeners, like what endometriosis is?
Yes. So I will start by saying I'm very much not a doctor. Right, I literally failed every science class I've ever taken.
Oh my gosh, same.
But from what I can... the best way I can describe it is essentially that like there's tissue that would normally form during your cycle and empty out during the beginning of your cycle, but that tissue starts to form outside of your uterus. Okay. So it can bind different organs together. It can block certain organs. So for example, mine was like on my colon and my rectum. So it's like you couldn't really like pass comfortably. It was all over my bladder, so it caused a lot of issues there. It's a really gnarly disease. Yeah. It's not curable. Right. And a lot of times too, and I think this is something really important that I want to get across, is that you need to go to a specialist.
Right.
I can't emphasize that enough because, and I'm not saying that all gynecologists like don't know what they're doing.
Right,
like again,
right.
not a doctor. I would
Right.
never even pass one class in medical school.
I got you.
But they're not trained the way you have to go to a specialist for this because unfortunately what does happen a lot and what I heard a lot when I self-diagnosed myself and then I finally got a diagnosis in September.
Okay.
So I went years knowing that I had this and no one was diagnosing me until I went to a specialist and he did blood work and he's like, you have endometriosis. I was like, it was
he could
blood
tell from
work?
blood work?
Yeah, there's blood work.
Are you serious?
Yes, girl.
Oh,
and what a
man.
lot of these gynecologists do who recognize that you have it but don't know how to treat it, they either scrape it off, which is a temporary solution,
Okay.
or they're giving women, hysterectomies.
Right.
And
Yeah. I've heard both
essentially,
situations.
taking away their
So they're
ability to have children.
Yeah.
I don't really feel called to have children myself, but I really was like, I don't want to have a hysterectomy over this. It
Right.
causes a lot of other things to happen in your body.
100%.
And also, like, as a woman, it's like, I'd like to keep my reproductive organs.
Yeah,
So,
you want those things.
I do want to stress that anyone who thinks that they have it or feels that they should really go see a specialist.
So how do you get to that specialist? Because do you have to go through your gynecologist? And
No.
then,
So
okay.
I ended up, there's a woman, her name is Jill Furshik. She has an organization called Endo Warriors.
Okay.
And she's had it since we were in our 20s. And I remember she would talk about it. And even at that point, I didn't quite understand the level of pain that she was living through every day. So when I when I finally got to the point where I was like, I know I have this, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, I just want to reach out to you. Can you send me some, and she sent all these resources and
awesome.
recommendations. So you have to kind of do your homework
Yeah.
and find someone who specializes in it. And a lot of them are in larger cities.
Okay.
But then there are surgeries that they do that they don't really scrape. And, obviously if you need a hysterectomy, they'll do that. But it's usually if it's very advanced.
Yeah.
But then they can take it out of your body and hopefully it won't grow back, but it severely cuts back from it coming back and needing multiple surgeries.
So did they burn it off?
No,
they didn't do that.
they cut it out.
Okay. They just cut it out.
He cut it out.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and it was a lot. So, and I mean, again, I had a really great surgeon, but it was a very expensive procedure. And I mean, I would do it.
Didn't cover it?
Not all of it.
Okay, got it,
So
got it.
definitely not the surgeon's fee, but it's you have to do it because it would keep getting worse and worse, and it's not a way to live,
right.
So
No, a couple of my clients just had that, and then they were very healthy leading up, and then we slowly got them back into, and now they're strength training and and things like that. But it was one of those things where they were just like, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
But it gets to that severeness. So I guess I love that you're going ahead and saying it, but I guess for listeners to know that ask the questions of anything from my issues that I've talked about with my eye and my hormonal stuff. You have to keep asking the questions. If somebody's like, no, you're good, go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Keep going forward. Because even blood work, I did blood work all the time and everyone's like, yeah, that's great. And then it wasn't until my hormone specialist was like, actually, your cholesterol is way down. All these different things. Your liver is elevated, whatever. And I'm like, okay then.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? So it's just to take those proper precautions and everything.
And to trust your body.
Yes.
You don't
and listen. Yes.
Yeah. And again, not a doctor, but you don't have to trust at what every doctor's telling you.
Right. But also too, guys, this is my whole mission. This is my whole thing that I've said from with everything that was going on is I genuinely sat on this couch and was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then the coach that I had literally was like, yeah, this is hard. And I was like, bruh, I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
I'm like,
It is very hard.
But I know that, but it's not that. This is
Yes.
something different. This
Yes.
is I can't move to get my phone that's 2 inches away from me. Or I can't get up off this couch. So I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening, And so anyway, so it's just it's wild. But yeah, you just have to continue to keep asking the questions and that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
And
you're not crazy.
Right. And so advocate for yourself. One of my clients always said this. She was like, it was Dani, like, it's nice that we all like hype you up, but like, you're your biggest hype woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, because you have to be.
Yes.
Because for so long, nobody, you know what I mean, was supporting in that. So like, it's the same thing with your health. Like, you have to be that hype person. Like, stand up, say it. I know it can be awkward. It can be, you know, you can have bad doctors, whatever, like, you know, or very not empathetic doctors, but like, but say something.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I love that. I love that you finally got like, and so everything's been okay. And like,
it's definitely been a long recovery, but I trained for my surgery. So I was doing yoga every day.
Nice.
I was lifting weights. Good. And I was doing the treadmill because knowing that, one, you're about to put your body through like lot. Basically running a marathon just for surgery. Right. And then the recovery was like, all right, they're going to be doing a lot of work like in that area. Like I should probably try to have some core and leg strength going into it. Yeah. So I really, you know, I really took care of myself the months leading up to it. Yeah. So I went to my specialist in September and then I had my surgery scheduled for December. Okay. And for those 3 months, I was already, you know, I already work out like every day, do my yoga every day. But I was like, all right, now I have to start lifting weights. And I'm like, going to go from my 5-pound weights to my 8-pound weights, you know, like just making those small adjustments. And I really do think it helped me a lot in the surgery because my body was prepared. Right. It was, you know, healthy, as healthy as it could be. Yep. And, you know, it really helped a lot. Yeah. And I also like, you know, don't drink very much. Right. You know, I think that's a big thing that I drank a lot in my 20s and in my 30s, I was sober for many years and I'll have a drink now and again, but I really think that drinking is like not great for you. Yes. Like, even though mentally it feels really fun when you're doing it, like what it's actually doing to your brain and your body and like your poor liver 100%. And your poor spleen. Like, you know, we only get one body. Right. So we have to take care of it. And it's okay to like indulge every once in a while. But like at the end of the day, you have to think about if I'm going to be in this body vessel for like 80, 90, 100 years, like, you got to treat it right now. Yes. Because when you're older, like my aunt who just passed away at 102. Oh my gosh. She was like playing tennis and like into her freaking 90s. Right.
And that's so cool. And that's the thing is like, you can have that. Like everyone always attributes it to like, no, my genetics or no, my dad or my mom. But it's like, no. Like if anything, you know, I have combated that completely from like my dad's side of the family and even my mom's side of the family because they have unhealthy addictions and things like that. And then his side of the family always were like, I look like him, like larger framed, whatever. But they like always use that as an excuse. That's why they're bigger. Or that's why they can't move. That's why they're whatever. And so it's just like, no, like you can change your stars, you know, you just have to want to, and you just have to fight for it. And look at the long term of it. And so I love that. So, you know, what is kind of like, well, I mean, so you're at Kenect now and then you still are commuting. So you come back every like once a month and everything like that. And so do you like, I don't know, are you, is there anything big coming up? Is there anything exciting? Like, is it just like...
So let's see. We're going to be opening the pool and we do a really great event called Pool Jams. So Brother Joe has produced that for us for a little over a year now. It might even be longer because I think he started doing it I call it my intermission when I was taking my intermission. Okay. So Pool Jams is like a really cool event that we have going on all summer long, once a month. Yeah, that one's like the big one that we're doing. And then we just have we have so many events. Kate is just like rocking and rolling. Yeah. And then we also introduced Kenect Perks. Okay. So there are perks around the city. So it might be like discounted tickets to a really hot concert, or we're doing like group dinners now at some random restaurants around town so you can get a different taste for what's going on, or a food walking tour. Yeah. So we're just like trying to expand a little bit too, so that we're, even though we want everybody to be in the Kenect community, it's still about like going out and around Nashville and Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, cool. And then with you personally, like you, so you're still doing your weights and still doing yoga?
Yes, I finally was able to start working out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So it took like a good 7-8 weeks for me to recover. It's my first trip. I was like, oh my get me on the plane. Yay.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah. So I do my yoga, like I wake up, I walk my dog. Yeah. And then I put some food in his bowl and I have my gym downstairs. You have yours outside. Yes. Mine is down in my basement. Nice. And I have my yoga mat and I do usually I'll do like an hour and a half of yoga, or I'll split it up between like yoga, weights, and my treadmill.
I love that so much.
I love it. It's like, and like your brain gets used to it too. So like now I wake up in the morning and I'm like, let's go.
Yes,
I'm ready. My brain's like, let's do this.
Because it's a routine.
Yeah.
It's a routine and it's a regimen. And that is when like you have that, like a real healthy lifestyle regimen. It's like, this was nothing extravagant that you just said. This wasn't like you had to like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like, again, you made it work for your life and for where you're at in your season of time. Yeah. And after coming, you know, off of the surgery and stuff. And I just love that. I love that you are so health focused and it's so cool and just like mind, body, and spirit. And I just, like I said, I've said this on every podcast, but like you genuinely changed my life. Aww. And just believing in the mission. And it's beautiful to hear the back end of everything and everything.
Gosh.
So.
Well, I can't take credit. I feel like I can't take credit because you're such an incredible woman and like so motivated and so positive.
Thank
you. You came in and you brought like really positive energy in a time where there wasn't a lot of positive energy going around. Yeah. And you made my job like easy because you were great to work with. We were on the same page about all of it. You know, I'm really big on giving people their creative space so that they can do what they want to do. So, you know, I'm just as grateful for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Oh, that was so sweet. And that makes me feel so good because I genuinely, with every experience, I look back on my life, you know, no matter if it's traumatic or if it's whatever, I want to look back and be like, what did I learn and what did I take away from it? And it really was that first moment of feeling really truly validated in my mission and that someone could see it outside of, the Nashville fitness community, not to say anything about them, but you know what I mean? Like, and all the silliness and all the nonsense and just stuck to my path. And you were such a godsend, and it was just so cool. And like I said, I'll forever be grateful, and for everyone that's listening, and I know that like some of the people who have followed their kids or their friends or whatever have actually stayed now at Kenect, and so they live there.
Oh, amazing.
And so that's cool. And then also that people who've come to classes that I've done there, thank you. And then with the speaking engagement, everything like that, like just all of the opportunities, like it's just
well, you'll always be a part of our community, Dani. Like you're one of the founders in that way. I always call like our first kind of like 30 residents, no matter where I've opened a building, I'm like, those are the founding residents. And you'll know like how your building's going to be based off of those residents. And that's why like when we brought in like you and Jake and Zach, I was like, these are going to be like good people who are going to like bring good energy into the building and make community. And that's what you guys did. Like it really, like, it's so important that we have to be there for ourselves, but we can't do it totally alone emotionally. You need the support.
Well, and the more that I have literally the older I get, the more that I have realized, like, I knew that there's been like pivotal people like on my journey and stuff like that, but I've realized of like that community aspect of it, of working together and being like, okay, like there's so many things that, yes, together, like you guys on your own are awesome and like I'm awesome, but together it's just something different. Yeah. And so that is like so cool. So, if anyone is listening and they're struggling or they feel like they're kind of lost, or they feel like they're like just doing the same thing over and over again, like you don't know. Like there's one email away. There's one, because I did feel like that for that time. I was kind of, man, did I make the right decision? Like, and I'm pulled in so many different ways and like, whatever. And it was like just when I started my strongman, stuff, everything like that. And I don't know. So I did feel kind of like I think I'm on the right path, but I don't know, and so it really just, you never know what's going to come.
You really don't. Yeah. And just take it one day at a time.
Yes.
Like, especially if you're dealing with like, we're all going to deal with depression. Like nobody's going to get away from it. Right. Especially like women, our hormones are like, you're depressed now. Yeah. Sorry about it. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you just have to take it one day at a time. Yes. And like, I find journaling really helps a lot. And, meditation can be tricky for a lot of people, but like, sometimes like I'll just close my eyes and I'll just like write in my journal. Yeah. I don't even like, you can't even read it after, but it's like, just let it out because
100%
you will get through it.
Yes.
We all can get through it.
And even listening to a podcast. Like, I'm just saying like the
Listen to
podcast.
This podcast right now.
Exactly. But seriously guys, cause it's gotten me through some stuff that I didn't want to get through, whether it was like meal prepping or it was getting ready to get my workout in. Like I was listening to something this morning, like while I was listening to the podcast, like it helped me get into my workout.
Yeah.
And then I turn my jams on.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it is, there are outlets, there are things like, but you just have to try different things and get into that routine. And once you're in it, you can just be so successful. So
and it is. And I do think like one, exercising is so important, even if it's just small, like even if it's just starting 10 minutes a day, just to get your brain being like, ooh, endorphins.
Yeah.
Like, just do something for yourself every day. And I think it's just always important to like, when you're feeling awful about yourself or like, I mean, I get down on myself a lot too. And I just had to be like, you know what? This is a moment.
Yes.
The moment will pass. Sometimes the only way out is through. And you're strong enough to do it. You can do it.
100%. And it's something that someone said, I don't know why I was listening to it, but I'll say this and then we'll get into our little Patreon episode. But the thing that they had said was, instead of talking so negatively to yourself, cause I'm very positive, but there's this girl in here that talks really negative sometimes. And I've always been kind of like, I combat her with negativity and I'm like, shut up. Like sometimes like, bye, like leave me alone. Right. And then I realized when after listening to this podcast or whatever this girl was saying, she was like, approach it maybe with like kindness. So instead of being like, chick, you don't know what you're talking about, be like, you know what? I see what you're saying. I get it. But like, we're not in that.
Yeah.
We're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
We're not that. You know what I mean? And then it makes it a softer conversation.
Yeah.
It's not so harsh on yourself. And then you just move forward.
Yeah.
And like, and don't, I know people listen like, what? And it's like, no, you've had this internal dialogue with yourself. Don't tell me you haven't.
Everybody has.
Right? And so it's just like, but instead of combating it with such negativity, just being like, no, hey, like, it's okay, sis. Like, we got this.
Yeah.
And so it's like double positivity. But and when I've been able to do that, it actually is helping me feel more powerful versus just like energized or whatever. It's like it's a stronger sense.
Yeah.
So I encourage you guys to start like not just talking positive to yourself, but to that inner critic.
Yes.
Don't just like fight her away or fight him away. Like actually be like, hey, it's okay. We're in this together.
Yeah. I had one friend once who, when I was talking down about myself, and she goes, hey, stop talking about my friend like that. Yeah. And that always kind of stuck with me where I was like, you know what? She's right. Like I would never talk to any of my friends the way I talk to myself sometimes. Yeah. And you're supposed to be your own best friend. Yes. You have to be happy with yourself. So be nice to your friend.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Jenna, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
This has been awesome.
For having me.
Yes. And I can't wait to see all the future things that you do. It's going to be amazing.
And together, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Thanks. Until next time.
Thanks.